Hello and welcome back to Farming Simulator 17 with Razar, that is me. We are going to be playing the Platinum Edition, or well, it's Platinum Edition if you bought the game and the DLC at the same time, but the DLC is called Platinum Expansion for the Farming Simulator 17 game. I've done a quick video that just shows you some of the equipment and a quick look at your farm and overview of the map. But now we're going to actually be playing the game. Now this top mod here, this is where you can select your mods or DLCs. This right here is the actual DLC. Disable vehicle camera collision is on, so that if I pan the camera outside the vehicle, it doesn't try to glitch through stuff and zoom in on the tractor if I'm trying to zoom out. That's a really good mod to use. I also have this here free camera, which allows me to hit a button so that my camera will stay where I put it if I'm outside the vehicle, and as I turn the vehicle the camera doesn't pan around. I'm using this mod for you, my viewers, so that the camera doesn't move around as much in case you have trouble with motion sickness. This here is indoor cam. If I remember correctly, I think this one's the one that as soon as you hop in the vehicle it immediately puts you inside the cab, which I like that, but I'm going to cut it off for now. And as you can see, I don't have any other mods. Well, wait a minute, yeah I do. Real clock. Okay, this just puts up in the top right hand corner while I'm playing the game. It puts the real time so that I can keep up what the time actually is while I'm playing. But none of the other mods are activated, not even any of the money mods. I'm not going to do any money cheats on this. I'm not going to cheat any money in. I'm not even using the one that helps to assist with steering, which is really a good thing when you're using a controller like I do, or a keyboard and mouse. Excuse me. But this is the map. Estancia La Pacho, I think is the way it's pronounced. If you look in the top right hand corner, it says it just switched to 4:50 as the time. That is actually what time it is in the morning here where I'm at. 6:49 that you see there at the clock, that is actually the game time. We start out with $20,000. If we go in here to our finances, we have a loan already of $75,000. This is normal difficulty, not the hard or the easy. I'm going to go ahead and get some more money. I want about 150,000, and I'll show you why. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to buy a fertilizer spreader. We're going to go with this one here. It has a 24 meter width and it holds 4,000 for our fertilizer. So we're going to go with that one. Okay, we are now going to come, where is it? We're going to come over here to our baling technology. We are going to buy this trailer. And we're going to get this baler. This will help us make a little bit of money off of our own map that we start on, and it leaves us with about $25,000. We're going to take this little buddy here. Oh, I forgot to check my settings. I always forget to do this. Okay. Timescale, this is how fast the actual time goes. We're going to move it down to real time so that it keeps up with the same pace that real time does. Now keep in mind, if you're wanting to let your crops grow faster, do not use just this alone. If you come over here, your plant growth, you can click on this to do slow, turn it off, fast, normal. I leave it usually on slow or normal. But what you want to do is if you're wanting your crop to grow fast, you turn this to fast, then you come over here and you can go up to 120 times. So we're going to put this on slow. We're going to turn plant withering off. Now, if I remember correctly, your sugarcane cannot wither. If I remember correctly, I may be wrong on that. But we're going to go ahead and cut it off for the rest of the crops. Periodic plowing required. We're going to turn that off. Fertilizer states, we'll go ahead and leave that at 3. The only other option is 1, so we'll leave it on 3. We'll come back over here. As long as the traffic doesn't become a problem, which it usually doesn't, I leave this on. Dirt, that's how fast your tractors get dirty. And then automatic engine start. We're going to leave this turned on. If you have this turned off, every time you get in the vehicle, you have to turn it on. So I leave it on. Because, when you get in the vehicle, you should automatically be cutting it on anyways. Alright, stop and go braking. I leave this on. What this is for is I'll show you real quick. Okay, I'm going forward. I hit the button to go backwards. And see how I immediately started backing up? Well, if I turn this off and then try it, I go forward and I hit the button to go in reverse and it goes to a complete stop. I have to let up and hit the button again to go in reverse. I don't like that. So I leave this on. That way, whenever I want to change directions, I can do it quickly. Okay, helper. These here are the things that you can adjust for your helper while they're working for you. You can have them set to buy these things, which I do it. Most people don't. Most people like to micromanage their workers. I don't like doing that. It does cost a little bit more if you have your workers buying the fuel, the seed, and the fertilizer instead of you buying it. But with how easy it is, especially on single player, to make money in this game, it's not really a big issue for me. I don't have to micromanage my helpers in this regard to save money. So I don't bother turning this off. I just turn it on and leave it on. Alright, we will save the game, make sure that these settings are saved. Over here, general settings, help windows, help icons, I'll leave those on. Money, I use dollars. You can use pound, euro, but I use dollars since I live in the US. Measuring units, kilometers or miles. I leave it set on miles. Interactive zone markers. I believe this is what lets you know where you can load stuff or unload stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. I leave the radio turned off just in case anybody has a copyright with the company that produced the game, Giant Software. I don't want to infringe and cause them any trouble, or myself, so I leave this off. Switch to trains whenever you cycle through vehicles. This map and some other maps have trains on them. You can actually cycle through to the trains. I'm going to turn this off since I don't use them that much. Master volume, I have that set at 10. That way you can hear me when I talk instead of the sound in the game overpowering my voice, which is also why I have the vehicle set to 10%. Environment volume set at 10%, you really can't hear it that much, and this one doesn't really matter since I have the radio turned off. Radio range, that doesn't matter since it's turned off. Reset vehicle camera, so that every time you go to a vehicle or get in it, it'll automatically put the camera right back at a certain point, instead of leaving it where you had it. Dynamic vehicle camera, it'll try to stay horizontal to the world instead of letting you move it up and down easily. Invert Y look, that just changes which direction you move the controller. And then camera sensitivity, I set that at 125% since I'm using an Xbox 360 controller. It is a wired one, not a wireless. Okay, this is just statistics on the game, how much that you've actually worked, cultivated, sown. It keeps up with all this, how many trees you cut down. It even keeps up with how many eggs are in a chicken coop if you're on a map that has a chicken coop, your storage capacity. It keeps up with all of this, even your time played. Over here you see your animals. You can have different animals, sheep, pigs, cows, and it gives you information on them, their productivity, whether or not they're happy, cleanliness, keeps them happy, keeping them like fed and watered, things like that. So that just gives you a little bit of information on those. Finances, this is where you go to get a loan or pay back a loan. And it shows you right over here what you have the loan, like how much you have the loan for. This right here shows you if you have $25,000, that means that you could pay back all but $180,000. So that's how you read this. Shows you your expenses that you spend money on and other things. Vehicle overview. It shows your vehicles and equipment. It shows you how long they've been running here. It shows you what your daily cost is for them here, which these daily costs are outrageous on this game. Over here, this shows you your different crops that you can get, including the new sugar cane. This you can actually go further over. Silage, hay, things like that are also in here. And then this here is your map overview. Up here you can look at the different types to see what's growing where. If the color is like this, it means that there's nothing planted there on that map or that field or that field. But you can look here, you can even cut off the ones that you are not interested in. For example, if you want to see if any fields are actually growing sugar cane. See, none of them's growing sugar cane. And then as you start turning these on, like these here, those have sugar beets. So that's a way of looking to see what is where, who has what growing. For example, field number 1 right here, we have wheat growing in it. So that's something that we'll need to harvest soon. If you click to the right, it shows how much growth you have, which as you can see here, it's a darker orange. It goes from yellow, well, not darker, but a lighter orange, then a darker orange. The yellow means it's ready to harvest. Whenever it gets to the darker orange, that means that it's pretty close to needing to be harvested, or it's going to go to the next stage of withering. We turn withering off, so we don't have to worry about that. If you look, the light blue means that it's cultivated, like this here, which means it's ready to be harvested. Or not harvested, I mean planted. Sorry. It shows you here which ones are plowed. We're going to cut that off. Growing, remove tops, ready to harvest, withered, and harvested. So this one here was recently harvested. Okay. So we will go back in here, cut all of these off, or cut them back on. Then we'll go to soil composition. Alright, if you turn this on, it'll show you which ones need to be plowed. If you turn this one on, it'll show you how much they're fertilized. So let's say that we have this one here planting sugarcane, which is what this one is automatically set up for whenever you start the game. It has the ability to fertilize while it's planting. So you'll actually see in this map, if you have the fertilize on, you'll actually see the blue lines on this map where it shows you where it's planted and fertilized. So that's good to have. And we're back to fruit types. So that's pretty much it. That's everything from in here in these menus and my settings. So if you're new to the game, this is your first time getting it, This should give you a little bit of a quick start on it, on how to set things up and all. We're actually going to take this guy. I'm going to see. I'm in the Massey Ferguson, right? Yeah, 4709. All right. I'm going to reset that one. Whenever you do that, it puts it back at the shop. And since I'm in the using the controller, I use the left and right arrow keys to cycle through the different vehicles. All right. I'm going to come over here, and I am going to hook up to this. This is my fertilizer, which I forgot to buy the actual fertilizer for it. You come in here to pallets, you go to solid fertilizer, and we'll just buy one of those. And it's over here. Now I'll show you a little secret to this. This fertilizer will hold 4,000 liters. Okay. Each of these little bins will give you 1,000 liters of fertilizer. The key to this is when you use your workers. Now, remember over here in my settings, here it is, I told them to keep buying fertilizer. So if I put a worker using this, he's going to keep buying fertilizer as he uses it. Let me see, close the cover. He's going to keep buying fertilizer as he uses it, and I won't have to bother trying to refill it, and he's going to keep it. Wow, that is pretty loud. But he's going to keep it close to where it's at now. Let me see. I think that's just loud on my end because of my TV volume. Let me find my TV remote. Oh yeah, I had it up a bit louder because I was watching some videos earlier. Okay, so here we go. See if I got anybody behind me. Nope. Now be careful whenever you have oncoming traffic. If you hit the oncoming traffic, those vehicles do not budge. I'll show you real quick. See, they will knock your vehicle all over the place, but they do not budge. So be careful if you have the traffic turned on, because if you're pulling out or you're trying to back something in, sometimes they will actually hit you, and that's a bit of a nuisance, to say the least. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and then I will pick up after we get this set up. Okay, and we're back. Now what we have here is the tractor that had the fertilizer. I also moved the other equipment from the shop up here, so we should be good to go on that end. What we're going to do now, make sure my timer is working. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to lower the fertilizer spreader. We're going to turn it on, and yep, we're going to go ahead and have one of the workers or the helpers doing that. Now this equipment here, this is what you use to plant your sugar cane. So we're going to bring it up here. It's already full with the sugar cane. We're going to go ahead and hit the button and get a worker going on it. Oop, let me get out of the way. And so they're going to do that. Now it takes a long time for it to plant sugar cane. I mean, a very, very long time. And so that's why we have the other tractor running the fertilizer first, which it should be coming back here in a few moments. And I will show you why. Oops. Okay, if we come back up here and we go here where it shows fertilizer, as you can see, This one here is the one that's doing all the fertilizing. And you can see the blue. Well, on this one, you can't really see it now, but you're going to barely be able to make out this line here along the edge. That is the next stage of the fertilizer. So what's going to happen is whenever this one finishes the rest of this field, it's going to have this color on it, the color there in the middle. And that's what we want. So we'll go ahead and save the progress we've made so far. And we're going to come over here and wait on him to come back, because whenever he gets back over here, he should finish. And then we're going to take him to the other field. Field number 1. And if you look at this one, Alright, this is one I'm planting the sugar cane. It only has 1 meter width. There's another one that you can get, another planter for the sugar cane that is going to be wider. It's this one here for $85,000. We're not going to buy that yet because we really don't need it yet. I'm going to wait until I get a much larger field to be able to plant sugar cane in before I do that. So, yep, this guy here is about to finish up. Guy or woman, whichever one. And if you look, the fertilizer is not dropping down. That's because they are buying fertilizer to replace what is being spent. Okay, so they finished that. I'm now taking them over to the other field, which I had to go around this way. Okay. Now, the point in fertilizing, you don't have to do it, but it does increase the yield you get. So it's a good thing to do it. And you can have a low horsepower tractor running one of these fertilizers, which is what I've done here. Alright, so we get up here and we're going to get him working. Come on. And they should be getting the whole thing. Alright, so now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to run this myself. So I will hit the button to unlock the camera from it. And the header is lowered. I will now turn the harvester on. And here we go. Now usually, whenever I'm doing this myself, I will circle around the field instead of going out in a straight line, turning around and coming back. However, I have the NPC over there doing my fertilizer on this field before I harvest it, so I really don't want to do that. Let me actually show you real quick why that is important. If you look, you can see him here fertilizing this field ahead of me. That fertilizer he's putting down, that is going to increase my yield out of this. Well, it just piled up, didn't it? Now again, you don't have to do this. It's very easy in this game to make money, very easy, very quick. It's not like a get rich quick type thing unless you're using the mod to cheat money, which I've done that for specific reasons in other maps or something, especially in a role play. My character needed a certain amount of money to start the role play for a specific reason because of the way that the story was going. That's something that's different. Okay, so we're back now. I want to show you a little thing here. You see how far I've come down? This is the 4th row, and this is the furthest I made before I already had the tank filled up. The reason I'm showing you this, if you do not fertilize this field, this tank will not fill up until it's almost finished with the 5th row. So we have probably about 1 and almost 3/4 of a row left before it would have normally filled up that we still haven't done. So that's a good thing. It shows a higher yield that you get whenever you use the fertilizer. So that is a good thing to do, and that's only with one stage of fertilizer. So that's a really good thing about this. Whenever you fertilize, I usually don't do it myself. I don't fool with it, but I'm wanting to do it a little different with this map. Also, if you look at the wrong one. If you look at the fertilizing, I've got my character here, my NPC. They're over here still fertilizing this field. If you look down here at 14, you see this blue here. This is the other stage of fertilization that's happening as this person here is planting the sugar cane. So that's a little bit of what I was talking about before on that. So I just wanted to show that to you and point out the difference that you'll see whenever it comes to fertilizing your fields versus not fertilizing them. So I haven't yet finished with the harvesting of the field. I actually had to stop and empty the trailer. Now, without fertilizing it, we would only get 148% of the trailer, which means you fill it up one time and then 48% of the next time. That's without fertilizing it. I'm gonna probably get 2 full trailers out of it this time, so that's a pretty good yield considering that all I actually did was just fertilize it once before going really any further. Okay, so we are coming to an end here of this particular field. Alright, we're going to take this down to our farm